From this section, our tutorial is Mockito details usage and by practice examples. So before we start using Mockito development unit test code, let me highlight the Mockito environment setup first. It's pretty simple. We just introduce Mockito and the JUnit file, Jupyter dependency, into Maven POM file. Okay, as you can see this PowerPoint, and we need to introduce the three required library. First is the JUnit Jupyter engine that will be execution the JUnit file test code. And second is Mockito core. This is required too. We will use 3.12.4. And the third is the Mockito JUnit Jupyter. This library just provided the extension for Mockito support um, JUnit file, Jupyter APIs to execution the unit test. And the fourth is the last. Um, I will use the Hamcrest to do assertion statement, but it is optional. Of course, if you can use JUnit file assertion statement directly. Okay. And the most important thing is we need to and the Maven build plugin. Um, as you know, the JUnit 5 and the JUnit 4 is a big difference. The JUnit 5 use service loader to detach source code, test unit test source code, and then execution. So we need to configure the plugin in our POM file. That is the JUnit file engine. Okay, open the RDA. Let me open the terminal, type some command, Mockito module inside the Mockito module, and execution the dependency. Sorry, got it. Tree. Actually, I'm already introduced to the dependency library. Okay, this is the result. As you can see, and I just introduced the Mockito JUnit Jupyter. This library will dependency Mockito core. So I just introduce this one as enough for Mockito. And another is the JUnit Jupyter A API will be introduced too. And of course, if we wanted to execution the unit test and the RDA, we need to introduce the JUnit Jupyter engine. As the version is the 5.7.2. This is the latest version. And okay, let's check the POM file configurations. At here, I configured the dependency management and the parent POM file. Okay, and define the dependency properties and introduce the dependency and here, and you can see. Okay, let me open the Mockito POM file. All right, so I just introduce Mockito JUnit Jupyter and Jupyter engine. This is enough. Of course, the Hamcrest is optional, right? Because the Mockito JUnit Jupyter will introduce Mockito core. So I just simple introduce this one. It's enough. All right. And I'm highlight at the PowerPoint point we needed to configure the build plugin and the Mockito Powermock use the executions test course by maven command. Okay, let me do that. Right, we need to under the build plugins and plugin. Okay, I copy that directly. Plugin. In this plugins, we should enter the dependency. Okay, the dependency will introduce the JUnit ng. All right. Okay, and copy the warrant property. This one. Warrant. Okay. Now let's execution the last lecture um, wrote unit test and some command, and you will find the unit test execution and successfully. At here, execution test command. Okay, it's successfully. Now we completed the Mockito development environment setup, and the next lecture we will start to learning the Mockito usage. Okay, see you next lecture.